on the road to glory. It is time for our week 5 prediction show. Already 5 weeks into the season. It's been a good one. And like you mentioned right before we went live, Stefan, this is one of our best slates so far of the year. I'm excited.
Facts. Yeah, it's looking like we got multiple good games in every window. I'm excited, man.
For sure, for sure. And we are going to get into majority of those games today. We'll talk about them all. We'll give predictions for some of the games that we find most exciting, and yeah, see where this show takes us. But as usual, before we do all of that, make sure to follow us on Instagram at the Pigskin Live for all your updates, highlights, news, etc. over on that page. And then whatever you're listening to this podcast on, whether that be a podcast or Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. We'd appreciate all of that. But okay, man, let's get right into it then. I guess we can hop into it. Got a lot of games to talk about. A lot of teams are active this week. A lot of big games are happening this week because conference play is officially starting or has officially started. A lot of teams have already played their first conference game last week, a few earlier on in the season. But yeah, we're getting into the thick of things now. Um, so we'll start seeing a lot more competitive matchups. Starts tonight, starts Thursday. Um, Not the biggest game. Army, they look to bounce back after that loss last week against East Carolina, and some American action at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN for you G5 sickos out there. And then Friday, a couple of ranked teams have some contests. Florida State, they travel to take on Virginia, and TCU, they got a big one. Fox, 9 p.m. They take on Arizona State, two teams that both have their eyes on that Big 12 championship game, and this is where it starts for both of them. Although Arizona State already does have that win last a couple weeks ago in the Big 12. I guess we could start with this TCU and Arizona State game um, with our official picks. Steph, again, a big one in Tempe. How you feeling?
I don't really know, man. What do you think? Because I feel like in this league, like every team can beat each other.
I mean, I agree. I I mean, overall, I think both of these teams play a similar level of football. So like, I don't think one or the other has that big of an advantage. I mean, obviously coming into the year, I would have leaned towards Arizona State just based off of what they have done. Um, but we saw them lose to Mississippi State this year. We saw some of their deficiencies and some of the things that they need to work on. Um, as for TCU, they've been tested a couple times. I mean, not gonna really call UNC a test. I would say SMU was their first test,
That was not a
um,
test at all, man.
but they kind of handled that SMU game pretty easily. Obviously, on the at home in that environment, a little bit more easy to manage that your emotions, to hear obviously on offense. So coming into a hostile environment like Arizona State, I think it's a blackout game. Um, it's a big one. I'll say the spread is
It's only
um,
three.
3.5 points favored in Arizona State's way. Again, for those of you that might not be that um, in tune with the gambling and how Vegas works and all that, usually um, when Vegas believes two teams are pretty even, they'll give the home team a field goal just based on the home field advantage. So right now, Vegas is saying they think this game is pretty even because Arizona State is at home. They are the slight favorite. Um, and I think I'm gonna have to agree with that. I I don't really know though because again, these are two quarterbacks that you can argue are two of the best in the conference. I mean, I know a lot of people are looking at Josh Hoover as a potential um, draft pick, first first round, maybe potential day two, day three kind of. I mean, day two kind of guy, early day two kind of guy. So this is a big one. Um, I think whoever does win wins by a field goal. Um, and again, I'm gonna go Arizona State. I I like Coach Kenny Dillingham. I prefer him. Although Sonny Dykes has his boys ready to play, I don't feel confident about that pick at all. I think this could really go either way.
Yeah, I feel like this is more of a coin flip type of game. I feel like But you know what? I think I'm going to pick TCU and well at least to cover. I don't know
Okay.
about to win the game. I'm gonna pick TCU. This is an official pick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick TCU to cover.
All right. 10:30 on ESPN on Friday night. Houston and Oregon State is the nightcap. Houston favored by 2 touchdowns. So let's talk about Saturday. Let's get into all the action. Let's talk about some of these games. Let's get into the noon slate. Georgia Tech, ESPN at noon. They take on Wake Forest. They're favored by 2 touchdowns. But over on Fox is the big one. We got a top 25 matchup. Illinois looks to bounce back at home as USC comes into town. I thought that was definitely uh, a bit of a shock to see what happened to Illinois last week, especially their defense and just how they weren't able to stop anybody. And I think I feel I would have felt more confident in this game had Illinois' defense showed me a bit more. Um, I mean, they're currently 70th overall in passing defense. USC is 11th in passing offense. They're also 12th in rushing offense and 5th in scoring offense. Illinois' defense, on the other hand, 70th in passing, 65th in rushing, and 60th in scoring. 63rd overall in overall yardage per game. USC is third overall in overall yardage. So I think USC's offense and Illinois' defense is a pretty big mismatch. On the other hand, Illinois' offense just hasn't really been able to run the ball at all. And again, I like Luke Altmaier. I like what they've got going on the outside at wide receiver. But if you're not going to be able to be a balanced team, you're not going to be able to do both. Um, then I think USC will be able to make them one dimensional, even with USC's defense not being super great, super talented. If you know what I mean.
I think USC's defense is fine, honestly.
Yeah, I mean USC's favored by 6.5 points on the road, and I don't feel too bad about that, to be honest. And again,
Honestly,
I
I would
was
take USC to cover.
yeah, me too. I was pretty high on Illinois. I thought that they had a pretty good win against Duke a couple weeks ago, going on the road and facing some adversity early and kind of fighting back in that game and winning that game pretty easily, and making Duke look pretty bad. And then I don't know, Indiana did the same exact thing to them last week. So I'm not really feeling them right now. USC, on the other hand, their offense, like I just mentioned, has been absolutely humming this year. Exactly what we expect from a Lincoln Riley offense. The defense, again, like you said, it's fine. Not super crazy or great, but I think they have um, a better idea on how to play team defense overall. And I think their defense will keep them in games that they haven't kept them in the past. So I think USC wins this game pretty easily. Again, I like them to cover as well. They win this by a touchdown. They might win this by more than a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that.
Um, okay, let's keep it moving. Uh, 12 p.m. ABC, Notre Dame. They travel to Fayetteville to take on Arky. It's not an official pick, but do you think there's any danger here? I mean, obviously Notre Dame has struggled a little bit in the 2 games that they have played. Top competition. Arkansas is nowhere near that top competition, but Arkansas does and has pretty strong offensive line play this year. Taylor Green's been able to do what Taylor Green does at quarterback. I'm not gonna say that they're super dangerous, but Notre Dame hasn't really looked that great, especially on defense.
Yeah, I wouldn't really worry about that much. I just think Arkansas is just really bad.
Yeah, 4.5 points. I don't know. Rutgers. They are on the road traveling to Minnesota, 12 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. Minnesota's only favorite by 4.5 points at home. So I think Rutgers has a shot in this, man.
They do. But this
With
is
the
a
good,
big game for both teams. If they want to go
yeah,
bowling and potentially have more than 6 wins, I mean, this is a game that both of these teams really need to win.
yep. Another similar game over on the ACC network, 12 p.m. Duke for Syracuse. Again, very big game for both of these two teams. I think both of these two teams both have a chance at bowling if they both want to, you know, get to that 8 wins, get to that 9 wins. This is one of those games that you got to win. Duke is actually favored by 5.5 points on the road. What do you think about that? No Steve Angeli, obviously, is playing a major factor into that. Um, but still, Syracuse uh, played a phenomenal game overall against Clemson last week. It wasn't just Steve Angeli going beast mode, although he has been having a fantastic season before. Unfortunately, he is now out for the year. Or is he a senior, by the way? Did we know that? His
I
career
don't
over?
think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I mean,
Um,
even if he was, he could probably still get a medical red shirt at this point.
right.
But
Um,
yeah, honestly, I think Syracuse is still going to be okay, even with their backup quarterback. Duke has kind of been a little bit of a disappointment so far, so it wouldn't surprise me if Syracuse still won this game. Honestly,
I think on a neutral field, Syracuse having their backup quarterback, I'd expect Duke to win this. I don't think Syracuse has some like raucous, crazy environment that's super hard to play in. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is a game that Duke probably should win. Like you should be able to beat a team with their backup quarterback,
they should.
especially when you have a talent like Darian Mensah as your quarterback. But again, I don't know. Fran Brown's a good coach, and Manny Diaz is known to do some Manny Diaz things. Um, Over on ESPN two, some more ACC action going down between Louisville and Pittsburgh. Louisville is a 4.5 point favorite on the road. Um, I think that's pretty fair, to be honest. Pitt hasn't really lived up to the hype for me so far this year. I mean, I might have been the only one hyping them, um, but I thought with Eli Holstein coming back for his second year, I thought that offense was going to take it to the next level. Um, he struggled a little bit. Their defense has struggled a little bit. There's still, I guess, chance and opportunity for them to be an okay team this year and prove me wrong so far, but I haven't really been too inspired by what I've seen from Pitt so far. Haven't really watched Louisville too much outside of like checking their highlights out, but um, I know they still got Isaac Brown at running back. He's a freak. Over on TNT in that same noon slot, Cincinnati they travel to Kansas to open up their Big 12 play. Kansas favored by 4.5 points at home. I had pretty high hopes for Cincinnati this year. I think this is a game that they can really have a chance to start their season off or their conference playoff strong with a little bit of upset there. On the road, some more Big 12 play over on FS1 on noon. UCF plays Kansas State. Kansas State by five. Kansas State is favored by 5.5 points at home. Steph,
That's a joke. That's a joke. UCF gonna cover the hell out of that,
you think so, right? I'd assume so.
bro. Kansas State should have lost to North Dakota. Come on now.
They
What are we
should
even
have.
talking about?
Let's move away from that noon slate then. Let's get to that 3:30 p.m. window. Um, Big one. Ohio State, they travel to Washington, Husky Stadium, where they are favored by 7.5 points. I don't know. I don't know what to think about this game, to be honest. Like, people, I feel like people are kind of hyping this a little bit, but I think Ohio State should probably just out physical. Washington, especially up
Ohio
front.
State is going to win this game by 30.
I think Washington is a little bit underrated, but I don't, and I think
They
they're
couldn't
gonna.
block Colorado State.
Yeah, that was my thing. Like I was like last time I watched Washington, they did not look great inside the trenches,
They're not
and
very good. They have a few good players.
they have they have more than a few good players,
They have
but their good
three
players
good
are not in
players.
the trenches. Their good players are
They have
outside and
Demond
at quarterback.
Williams, Jonah Coleman, and the wide receiver. I forgot his name. Other than
Uh,
that, food.
I think their defense is a little bit better than
I don't
like
think their defense is going to be any type of threat for Ohio State.
I don't
Honestly,
know.
I
I
really
think
don't.
they have the ninth overall rushing defense in the country. They give up 62.7 yards per game. I think if they can make Ohio State one dimensional and say Julian saying you go out and beat us.
All right, here's who Washington played: Colorado State, UC Davis, and Washington State.
You know, that's true. And again, I'm
And
not going to sit
I
here and say because they have a ranking or a stat that
listen,
this means they're going to stop Ohio State.
Ohio State is going to destroy them.
Yeah, I
It's
think
not
Ohio
going to be
State's going
pretty.
to win and cover.
This is the
Um,
easiest cover I've ever seen in a long time.
yeah, you think 7.5 is way too little?
Yes, the spread should be like 20. What are we doing?
I think Ohio State wins by maybe like 10 to 14. You think they win by 20, 30?
I think they win by at least 20. I
I
don't.
think
I really
Washington
don't
is going to
see
be able to
them.
score points, and I don't think Ohio State's going to score every single time they touch the ball, and that's what it's going to take to win
I
by
don't.
30. For
No,
Washington
it
not to
doesn't.
score and Ohio State to just score every time.
I don't think Washington's really going to score much. They could like Ohio State could easily win this game 35-7. I don't think this is going to be close. I really don't. I think there is going to be at least three scores, so that would be 17 at the lowest.
I don't know. I think again, I do think Ohio State's talent is going to win out in this game, but Julian Sain on the road, young quarterback. I don't know if I really trust him. Again, Ohio State hasn't been running the ball like that well this year, anyways. Um, I think it could. I think this could get tricky, like for a little bit. I think Ohio State navigates this and they do win by probably two possessions. But I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna be a blowout. It could be though. I hear what you're saying. I do hear what you're saying.
I really don't think it's going to be close.
I don't know if we need to make this a official pick because we are gonna both pick Ohio State. Um, should we?
We don't have to because we
Yeah, I
we
don't.
both just going to pick Ohio State cover.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, interesting game, but probably not that interesting. Let's move on to a big one in the SEC. 3:30 p.m. on ABC. We got the Bayou Tigers traveling to Ole Miss to take on the Rebels. Or Ole Miss is actually favored at home. They're favored by 1.5 points, so it's very close. Um, but they are still favored. Obviously, the big storyline is what's the quarterback's name? Um,
Trinidad
Trinidad
Chambliss.
Chambliss. Yep, he. It was announced that he will be the starter again for the third straight game. Austin Simmons, he is healthy, he is available, but looks like Lane just wants to stay with the hot hand, or he believes maybe Chambliss does give them the best chance to win. And I don't know, man. LSU might get taken up through there. Florida played LSU a couple weeks ago, so I had a front row ticket to watch the Tigers for a couple of hours. And, I really didn't come away too impressed. I mean, both of us on this show have not been the biggest fans of Nussmeier. We've been pretty outspoken that we both think he's okay. Probably still one of the better college quarterbacks for sure, but we don't think he's like spectacular or like one of the better college quarterbacks of the past 5 or even 10 years. You know what I mean? So, and that's kind of reflected so far in their offense. I mean, we gave Brian Kelly Clown of the Week a couple weeks ago as well for his handling of the press conference and the reporter kind of just asking him a fair question about the offense and its struggles and him kind of snapping at him and being snarky. And LSU has issues. And then you could say the same with their defense, although Blake Baker does have that unit playing better, and they obviously have talent with guys in their secondary, obviously Harold Perkins. They haven't really played any prolific offenses yet that have really tested that defense. And they definitely haven't played a offensive coordinator or a play caller like Lane Kiffin yet this year. So it'll be interesting to see how LSU really handles this test. Obviously, Clemson week 1 and Florida, those were not easy outs. So Clemson is a bit battle tested, but I think this is definitely the best team that LSU um, has seen so far this year. And think you could probably say the same for Ole Miss, right? I don't think Ole Miss has really
Yeah.
played anybody so far. They struggled to beat Kentucky. They struggled with Arkansas. They obviously handled Tulane last week. Um, I don't know. I think this is one of those games where you take the over. Over is 55.5.
Oh, you're taking the over, not because of Lane Kiffin's tweet.
Lane Kiffin did say that. Take the over. Definitely, partially because of Lane Kiffin's tweet. I think that's a cool little storyline in this game. Obviously, all in good fun. I'd assume. I'm pretty sure he knows who his daughter's dating at this point, and like that wasn't news to him.
Right,
But
right.
I'm sure it's still like a nice moment between the family where he gets to coach against, obviously, with Weeks and what's going on over there. But no, overwise, I don't really know if I trust these two defenses, like, and obviously these quarterbacks do both have the potential to really light it up. So I just see one of these games. What was the game a couple years ago? Oh no, that was LSU A&M, right? That wasn't LSU Ole Miss, or it was like 77 to 71 or something like that in eight
LSU
overtime.
did have a game against Ole Miss that was pretty high scoring with Jaden
Yeah,
Daniels though, where it was like it might have been like a 50-60 type score.
yeah. Then it's gonna be an exciting one. It's gonna be your old-fashioned college football shootout, um, 48-45 kind of game. Um, I'm I don't know. I'm gonna go Ole Miss. Something in my gut is telling me go Ole Miss. I don't necessarily think Ole Miss is like better, but I'm gonna just choose Ole Miss.
I'm going Ole Miss money line. Ole
All
Miss
right.
money line, baby. And y'all know I don't even rock with Ole Miss, but LSU just hasn't really impressed me at all. I feel like
Same.
they've been hyped all these years, and they can just never amount to anything. Like y'all keep telling me this quarterback is this NFL prospect. I haven't seen it. I don't really think that they had that much of a threat on the outside. Like they got one good player at wide receiver. I mean their defense is pretty good, but I mean when you got a team like Ole Miss that knows how to score, I do think this game is gonna be close. So I think it might be pretty high scoring as well. But yeah, I think Ole Miss is kind of the hot hand right now.
Yeah, LSU's gonna have to figure out a way to run the ball and help Nussmeier out, but
Right.
it should be a fun one. Should be a fun one, regardless. We'll be tuned in, that's for sure. Let's keep it going through that 3:30 slate. Another big SEC matchup over on ESPN. Same time. Auburn, they look to bounce back over that tough loss last week to Oklahoma, and they look this week to travel to Texas A&M, Kyle Field, the 12th man, to take on the Aggies. Texas A&M favored by 6.5 points at home. Obviously, the story for A&M has really been their offense, just taking that next step. Those transfer wide receivers, Mario Craver in specific, just really stepping up and adding so much to that pass attack. and giving Texas A&M that next dimension on their offense. We know their defense most years is going to step up and be able to play. It was always that offense, and is Marcel Reed going to be able to distribute the ball? Are the wide receivers going to be able to get open? And so far, so good on that side. Honestly, it's been the defense that has struggled a little bit, but I do obviously trust that defense to kind of get things together and do enough in certain game situations to win enough games, even if they aren't a top defense. Auburn, on the other hand, just a little bit too rocky for me to go with, to pick with, to trust in. I think we see good things out of them. Obviously, they're super talented as well, but it's just a lot of ups and downs. A lot of, yeah, we're going to be really good for these three drives in a row, and then these next three drives we're going to be not good, or they're not playing complementary football. Their offense is playing good, and their defense isn't, or their defense is playing good, and their offense isn't. Um, I think they do have a chance in this game. Obviously, I think a team like Auburn, if you're able to run the ball, if you're able to move people at the line of scrimmage, you're able to control the pace of the game, you're able to control the clock, then you can be in any game. Auburn is physical. Um, the defense has improved, but I don't know. I'm still leaning Texas A&M to win by a touchdown. I mean, it's not crazy. I see this game more like closer to like a 1 point game, a 2 point game, a 3 point game, something like that. But um, I don't know. Where's your mind at? Because I know you've been a little bit higher on Auburn than I have been this year, but you also think pretty highly of A&M as well, I believe. So
Yeah, I think A&M is a little more similar to Oklahoma, and that they have a defensive minded coach, and that situation last week might be a little different because Jackson Arnold did play for Brent Venables, and but I think A&M has more firepower on offense with Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver, like you said. Marcel Reed is able to throw the ball better. Um, I think right now Marcel Reed might be even a better passer than John Mateer. Um, I think they can score more points. Like I think they just have a lot of firepower. Marcel Reed's a pretty athletic guy, so he can run it if need be, like very well. Um, I don't think that Auburn is going to be able to keep up consistently. Because yeah, like you said, like they have a lot of good players, but they don't really seem to be able to put it together all the time. And I think A&M is a team that can really do some damage this year. So I'm gonna go A&M money line. I don't think Auburn has no chance, but I think A&M has been playing better.
over on Peacock at 3:30 p.m. A big game in the Big Ten. Indiana, they travel to take on Iowa. Indiana, 7.5 point favorite on the road. A big test for the Hoosiers after a huge win against Illinois last week, going on the road and getting that win. Will they be hungover? Will they be feeling themselves? Will they be looking past Iowa? We know that's not the ideal team to do that to. I think Iowa will still test them, although I do think Indiana should win this game pretty easily if they're locked in, if they're focused. Um, they should dispose of Iowa. A couple other matchups over on uh, at 3:30 in that slate. Nothing too compelling. UCLA Northwestern. Cal takes on Boston
Oh
College.
hell no!
Baylor takes on Oklahoma State. Over on Fox, Utah, they play West Virginia. But
You're not
that's
you're not watching UCLA and Northwestern.
I will not be there. I will not be in attendance. Northwestern favored by 6.5 points at home, by the way, over UCLA.
Yeah, they should be. They should be favored by 15.
Yeah, I mean UCLA has no coach, so I'm not surprised. But let's keep it moving. 4:15 SEC Network. Tennessee, they travel to take on undefeated Mississippi State in Stark Vegas. The cowbells will be loud. They'll be ringing. Tennessee only favored by 7.5 points. I think that's a little bit too low, if you ask me. But would be interesting, and I would love to see Mississippi State take Tennessee up through there. As Mississippi State and Jeff Lebby, they've been looking pretty good this year, 4-0. Um, we're making our way now to that 7 p.m. window. Arizona, they take on Iowa State in Ames to kick off that slate over on ESPN. Iowa State favored by 5.5 points. Arizona a little bit under the radar to open up this season, as they kind of um, underwhelmed last year in Brent Brennan's first year as head coach over there. But uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Quietly, they are undefeated heading into Big 12 play. So let's see if they can give Iowa State a little bit of a test Saturday night. 7 p.m. over on the CW network, which I guess is just now a football channel. Um, Virginia Tech, they play NC State. Obviously, Virginia Tech, they just fired their coach this past week. NC State favored by 10.5 points. Let's get to the big two games, though, in this 7:30 p.m. window. Our first pick will be a big one, close to home, and that's your Oregon Ducks, Stefan, going on the road to Happy Valley to take on the Whiteout. Penn State favored by 3.5 points at home. Steph, I'll let you take this over here. Talk to me about this game. Give me your thoughts. How are you feeling? It's a big one.
Man, before the season, I was not very confident about this game. But as the season has started to play out, and we've got to see both these teams play in a couple of games now, I know that they weren't against any type of competition for both teams, but Oregon has looked way better than Penn State so far. And then when you factor in both of these coaches' records against top opponents, where I'm pretty sure Dan Lanning is 4-4 against top 10 teams, and James Franklin is 4-20. So there's also that. Um, you factor in just the different positions. I think we have a significant advantage at the quarterback position. When you look at how Drew Aller has played, the last time he threw for 250 yards was against USC. How long ago was that? Um, so he doesn't really do much against teams that actually have good defenses. They always lose to Ohio State. They won, what was it, two playoff games, but then they laid an egg against Notre Dame. I mean, and they lost that game because of the quarterback, in my opinion. I mean, he threw two bad interceptions. Um, it just was not a pretty performance. I know they were lacking in the wide receiver department, but they also did not even have a catch against Notre Dame or Ohio State. I'm pretty sure last year a wide receiver did not have a catch. I know for sure they didn't have a catch against Notre Dame. Um, and I know that they've upgraded at that position, but they don't scare me. Like Trevor Pena, what are we doing? That's that's your X factor because they don't have what was the tight end's name? Tyler Warren. They don't have him no more.
Warren, yeah.
He's gone. So to me, they don't really have anybody that scares me on the outside. But what they do have is a good old line and the best running back duo in the country with Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. So that right there is the problem. Um, and they're also at home in what is going to be the loudest environment that Oregon will play in for sure on the road, and might be the loudest environment in the country. And we are also traveling multiple time zones to play that game. Now, it is not going to be at a 9 a.m. West Coast kickoff, So there's that. But we've also seen what happens when teams travel multiple time zones over. Where like last year, what happened when Ohio State came to Austin? We won in a crazy dogfight. Um, but you know, I think that this team is going to be pretty prepared, and I think I think I think this game might play out differently than a lot of people think. I think a lot of people around the country are picking Penn State just because they're at home and things like that. But when you actually go player for player, we have a lot of players on our team that are very good, and a lot of people might be mistaking new for worse, but that just isn't the case. And we've talked about it on this podcast many times before, where you can't just say a team that has returning production is going to be better. I mean, look at Clemson. We tried to hype them up, and what's their record? Somebody remind me. And I'm not saying Penn State is
Ass.
anywhere near a Clemson. Exactly. I'm not saying Penn State is anywhere near a Clemson because they're not. They're going to be in the playoffs. But I think a lot of people are picking them just because they have a lot of players that we've seen before. But I think we got a lot of good players too that are going to be ready to show themselves. We're playing a lot of young guys and freshmen, but they're playing with a lot of maturity and not just with their attitude and how they carry themselves, but with their actual technique on the field. And I think we have a coach that has risen to the occasion multiple times in these big games and at a much higher rate than James Franklin has. Point blank, period. I mean, Penn State beat SMU and Boise State in the playoffs, where they have a significant talent advantage over those teams. When they played Notre Dame, they lost. When they played Ohio State, they lost. And those are two teams that match them in the talent uh, department. And Oregon matches them in the talent department. So this game is going to be very close. Um, so before I let you talk, I'm gonna just say my pick is Oregon covered. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Ducks even get the full victory because the spread is only what 3,
3.5.
and yeah, like I think we're gonna cover, and like honestly, as time goes by, I think we're gonna win. But my official pick for the show is gonna be Oregon cover.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said everything and you covered everything that really had to be said. I mean, for me, it really hate to be like super shallow about it, but it just comes down to the one stat that we all think of when we think about James Franklin. Um, I mean, when's the last time he beat a team that actually was of importance? You know what I mean? When was the last time James Franklin won a big game like this? I think he's like 4-20 overall
Yeah,
against top.
4-20,
Was that against top 10, top 25, or something like that?
top
Opponents,
10,
top
top
10
10.
opponents. So yeah, I do. I feel like there are a lot of things that make me like Penn State in this game on paper. I get why people are choosing Penn State, and I get why they're favored. But until I see it with my own eyes, until James Franklin wins one or two of these games, I'm not gonna pick him or his
Yeah,
team. Like if I had to bet
but
my money, I'm just gonna bet against them. Obviously, again, I do think Penn State has a big. I think they have a really good chance to win this game. They might win this game. They should be favored, but uh, yeah, I just can't trust James Franklin, unfortunately.
I mean, here's the argument for Penn State. This is what I'm worried about as an Oregon fan. Um, their D line versus our O line in the passing game. Um, I think that their edges might be able to beat our tackles and really cause pressure, especially if we're behind the chains and have to pass a lot. So if they can get us behind the chains and in second and long, third and long, where we got to throw it, that might be a problem. I mean, we know the talent that Dante Moore has. We know he can make every throw. We've seen him make insane throws, but um, we haven't seen him have to perform under pressure. Now this is going to be a different kind of pressure. Like I said before, Penn State is at home. Oregon is traveling from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast. You have to factor that in. This is the first time we're playing against a team that's at our level or better, and it's on the road. in the craziest environment possible, and it's across the country. Um, I think
I,
if they
I
run the ball really well, that might be a problem. Like I said before, go ahead.
I I think it's actually the other side of the ball that I'm more concerned about when it comes to Oregon, and in specific, the two freshman corners. And I know, like you mentioned, like yeah, Trevor Pena, he's not a super X factor like Kyron Hudson, whatever. These guys are not first round draft picks, type guys. But Penn State brought in three experienced, productive transfers. This is two freshmen. One is a true freshman, I believe, on Oregon that's starting. DBs, corners that have to go now and defend these three experienced, savvy, veteran wide receivers. It's going to be loud in there. It's going to be the first time they've played guys this good because they haven't played anybody this good yet. And Drew Aller is an okay quarterback. He's not obviously he's not what we thought he might be, but he's still solid. And so I wonder if Penn State is able to run the ball, like you mentioned, with the two running backs and with the offensive line they have, that's going to kind of force Oregon, to stack the box more, to kind of commit to stopping the run because you can't just let Penn State run for 300 yards. And then that's going to cause your freshman DB to be on islands, more than maybe you guys would have hope for. And yeah, maybe they might not get burnt all night, but you give up one good play, you give up two good plays. It's starting to get loud in there. You're a freshman. This is your first time ever playing in an environment like this. I could definitely see some of the lights getting bright and maybe Penn State taking advantage of that. Um, I don't know. What do you think about that? Because I know you feel good about both of those guys because they are very talented, and you guys do have one of the top pass defenses in the country. But again, too.
And we also have, and the other thing about our secondary is that it is very deep. That we also have multiple corners that could start for us that have lots of experience.
Okay,
Like we're
sure, yeah,
starting Ife Obadegu and Brandon Finney, who one is a redshirt freshman, one is a true freshman. But we could start Darren Johnson, who is a senior and was all Big Ten at Northwestern.
word.
We could start Sione Laulea, who's been in our program. We could start Jaleel Florence, who's been in our program. He's like a redshirt junior or senior. Um, I don't know what his eligibility is because of his injury last year, but he's been around a long time. Like we got guys with experience. So I mean, like I really think that their wide receivers are not going to be a problem for us at all. It's really just the run game, and are we going to be able to score a lot? Are we going to be able to run the ball? I think Noah Whittington is supposed to be playing this game. He did miss the past two games. Um, and are we going to be able to block them in passing situations? I think our O line has been very good against inferior competition, but we have not played a D line like Penn State's. Like we know they got guys that are probably going to go to the NFL. Like that would be the matchup that I'm keying on. In terms of their offense and our defense, and the other thing, we have a pretty big X factor at tight end in Kenyon Sadiq. Like that guy is like how Tyler Warren was last year. Like that dude is gonna be a high draft pick in the NFL. Just a physical specimen. The guy can do anything. He can run. He can catch the ball. And what's underrated about him is his blocking. He's probably the best tight end we've ever had since I don't know Colt Iurla, Farrell Brown, and it's been a decade since Farrell Brown was on our team. So like this is a dude that can do everything. Um, and and I think even if we can go 12 personnel because Jamar Johnson is another really good player who people don't really talk about as much because of Sadiq, but Jamar Johnson is a really good player too. So I just think that we're going to be able to do more on offense. Like we can run the ball, we can throw the ball, we can go 12 personnel, we can go 11 personnel, 10 personnel. We can go 20 personnel. We can do anything that needs to be done. We're extremely multiple. We have a quarterback that can make every throw. The only question about him is can he perform in a high pressure situation? But because we've seen Drew Adler in high pressure situations and he hasn't been very good. Um, and last year they ran the ball pretty well on us. I think they had over 200 yards, maybe closer to 300 yards. I think it was like 270 something if I remember the actual stat correctly. But they still lost. So I think we're even willing to give up the run game a little bit if we don't let them get any explosives in the pass. If we shut down the pass and make them one dimensional, I think we're gonna be fine. So again, I'm picking Oregon to cover. We very well might win this game, and even if we lose, like I just think we need to play well. I think we can't get blown out. Um, we need to be, within one score in the fourth quarter. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't come out here and lay an egg. And as a team, we need to play our A game. You're playing against another top ranked team, a team that was in the playoffs last year, and a team that could very well be playing for the Big Ten championship this year. So you got to bring your A game. They're going to be well coached. They got two of the best coordinators in the game. Um, it's going to be tough, man. On the road, like this has game of the year potential, man. I know we're going to talk about another crazy game, but to me, this is the game of the week. I mean, game day is going to be there, and potentially this could be game of the year because these are two juggernauts, man. Like this is what college football is about for real. Um, like I'm excited. I'm excited. We're finally past that early part of the season where guys are playing cupcakes. Now we're in conference play. We get to open it up. Well, we played Northwestern, right? But we get to play like you know a premier team in the conference and in the country. Like it's gonna be fun, man. Win or lose, win. And the thing about it is, win or lose, the season is not over. I just want us to show that we can hang with the big boys. And for both teams, this game is going to tell us a lot about them. Because if we come out and lay an egg and lose by 30, you're not gonna hear me be this confident about Oregon for the rest of the season. I promise you that. All the goals, like if we get blown out, I'm not saying we're gonna go to Big Ten championship, playoffs, nothing like that. Because it's just gonna be about getting better. Um, so that's really my take on it. But yeah, again, my official pick is Oregon cover.
Yeah, yeah. I'm Oregon cover. I don't feel great about it, but again, I don't. I feel less great about picking Penn State. So should be a fun one. Should be a fun one. Let's move on. Like you mentioned, there is another fantastic game that is going to be playing in the same time slot, which sucks, but we'll be able to put the quad box up, put the dual box up, and that game is Alabama traveling on the road to take on Georgia. Obviously, we all watched the game from last year, one of the best games I've seen in a long time. Um, I think we probably have a chance at seeing a similar game. Um, I think it is also going to play out in a similar way as well. I don't think there's going to be a lot of defense in this game, which is surprising to say between a Georgia and an Alabama. I mean, maybe maybe the points maybe there's not a lot of points scored because the offenses are sloppy, but I don't really foresee any one of these two defenses coming out and just dominating the other team. Like I just don't see that happening. I think Alabama and Georgia will both have their opportunities and will both have their shots on offense to, take advantage and to score points and to do things. Now, I think whoever wins this game is going to be the one that takes advantage of those opportunities the best, the most. Um, and yeah, I just think that's Georgia. I just think that's Kirby Smart in every situation. Um, Similar to why I'm going with Oregon in that Oregon Penn State game. Dan Lanning, Kirby Smart, those guys are just demons. They're dogs, man. Those are just two dudes that you want to have leading you. And it's hard to bet against them. It's hard to pick against them. It's hard to coach against them. It's hard to play against them. It's just they're really good at what they do. Georgia is what Georgia is and has been for a long time. And yeah, I think last week just kind of showed us that Georgia and Kirby Smart are just going to continue to find ways to win. Like they might not be the same team every year. They might not look the same every year. They might not be the most talented team in college football every year, but they're going to figure out how to win with what they have. And that's scary. That is scary. That's what the best teams do. And Alabama, I think they're a little bit different than that. Kalen DeBoer in the past, he has been someone that has, raised the ceiling raise the floor of the talent that he's had. He's been at places that don't have the talent, that don't have the resources that Alabama has, and he makes those teams better. So far at Alabama, he hasn't really done that. Not that he needs to do that at Alabama because they already, like I mentioned, have all the things. They already are that elite level, but uh, they seem pretty sloppy under him so far. We saw in week one just that performance against Florida State, and that just is kind of sticking with me. Obviously, yeah. Ty Simpson has looked good over the past couple weeks. He tore
against
up
nobody's.
Wisconsin, but yeah, right. That's not really moving me. I don't think all of a sudden Alabama is any different than they were against Florida State in week one because of the past couple of weeks. I mean, they've had more weeks of practice, they've had more game experience, so I expect them to be more competitive in this game for sure. But 3.5 points, I think Georgia wins this by at least a touchdown. I do think there's a lot of points scored. I do think Bama will be able to move the ball and hit some explosive plays on Georgia, and maybe even keep this game close. But I think this is I think Georgia handles this game, and I think it's because of their offense.
What's the
And they're just
spread
going
on
to set
that?
the pace. The spread is Georgia by 3.5.
Georgia
So I'm
cover.
taking Georgia minus 3.5. That's what I'm
Yeah,
going with.
I'm taking Georgia cover. Um, yeah, like you pretty much hit the nail on the head, man. I think their offense has been better than expected. They're actually using their wide receivers. Gunnar Stockton has been playing well. I was impressed with Georgia in that Tennessee game. I mean, they got down and they just kept fighting back, kept fighting back, kept fighting back. And then you got Kirby Smart who knows how to make all the right decisions in these high pressure moments. Like, you gotta respect that. And he comes to play every time against one of these other teams. And Alabama's got some good players, but I think Georgia is a better team all around and they've shown it so far.
Yeah, I think Kirby Smart is there's the coaching advantage there as well. Um, it, talent wise, obviously, I think both of these two teams are very similar. I think Alabama getting Jam Miller back is going to be huge for them because I think what has kind of been holding Alabama back is just not being able to run the ball. I mean, they just haven't had any semblance of a true dynamic run game that you actually fear. And you see Justice Haynes going wild at Michigan, and it's like, damn, they had that guy. But obviously, Jam Miller is the guy that they really believed was going to be that star running back for them this year. So he'll have a chance to really make a difference. But again, it's kind of hard for a game, for a guy. It's his first game back. Like, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get your footing back under you to get into game speed, game shape. And the only way to do that is to play actual games. So to kind of expect him to come back and just, be the difference maker in a game against Georgia, not impossible, but I just think it's highly unlikely. I just think things are teetering and tilting in Georgia's favor in this game, and Alabama's a little bit undermatched, but I'm not going to say that they're out of it. Obviously not. Um, that will do it for our official picks. I'll run through a couple more of these games. Uh, if there's anything else that stands out to me, 7:45 p.m. on the SEC Network. Kentucky travels to South Carolina.
That
South
stands out
Carolina.
to you. Yo, these
Yeah.
SC, y'all listen, these SEC people is crazy. I just want the listeners to hear this BS. This man said, I'm gonna say something that stands out to me, and he says Kentucky versus South Carolina.
Well, the only other games here are Mass versus Missouri, Wazoo at Colorado State, San Jose State, Stanford, Marshall and Louisiana. Like, what else is supposed to stick out to me? Kentucky and South Carolina. South Carolina, I mean, they're definitely interesting to watch. I mean, a lot of people thought South
Yeah,
Carolina
but
was going to be good this year, and they're
yeah, but
bad.
they've been
So
flopping, so I'm not even.
yeah, that's why I
They've
called
been
them
flopping.
interesting.
There's no West Coast. There's
10:15.
no. I was about to say there's no
Yeah, I'll say
West Coast.
10:15 p.m. is one game, West Coast game, and it's not even a true West Coast game. It's a freaking Central. Um, BYU they travel to take on Colorado. BYU favored by 6.5 points or BYU favorites by 6.5 points on the road. Um, so
That's actually pretty interesting.
that's not yeah that's not a bad game to have on in the background while
Yeah,
you're laying in
that's
bed for the
actually
night.
interesting. I don't
Should
know
be a
how much
decent
of it
one,
I'm actually gonna watch, but
right?
I'm gonna definitely pay attention to it. Um, Yeah, especially with what's been going on in Colorado, like and their quarterback flip flops. I'm pretty sure they're just going with Salter now, which they should have been going with Salter, but um, I don't know. I don't know. Damn, UNLV does UNLV play? Um, what about Cal? I don't think Cal plays
No.
either. It seems like a lot of
Well,
teams
Cal
have
plays
buys.
earlier. Cal plays East Coast or something like that. They play against
Okay. Yeah, they play
Boston
Boston
College.
College, which you mentioned. Which you mentioned.
Yeah. So not much going on in
Yeah,
the after
UNLV
dark
is on a
games.
buy.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I guess that's it.
That's the only. That's the latest game that kicks off 10:15 p.m. ESPN. So you got a clown of the week?
I do actually.
I do as well. So that's perfect. Let's end our pick segment and move over to clown of the week. It's everybody's favorite segment. It's clown of the week. Steph, why don't you kick us off? Who is your clown of the week?
Yo, my clown of the week this week is Bill Belichick. Once again, bro, this guy just can't stop doing clown behavior in the year of our Lord 2025. And if you pay attention to college football and football in general, you already know what I'm getting at. So the man appeared on a magazine, I think it was US Weekly, whatever. The magazine don't matter. The man appeared on a magazine with his girlfriend, 50 years his junior, and this whole thing is just a clown circus. I mean, I was at the UCF game versus North Carolina. I didn't see it because I was in person. I was there in person. I couldn't really see what was going on the other side. I'm with the UCF side. You know what I'm saying? That's the home team. I'm worried about UCF. But of course, on social media, I seen her walking around on the sideline, talking to him and all this and that before the game. It's like, bro, this whole thing is just a clown show, man. I've never seen any coach's girlfriend, wife, kids, family, whatever, around them on the sideline before the game. Like, what are we doing after the game? If y'all win the game, whatever, y'all come down and do whatever y'all gotta do. But before the game, you need to be locked in, especially when at that point your team was 0-3. Y'all are ass, bro. Y'all should not be having no fun. I don't want nobody smiling. I don't want nobody laughing, joking. I don't want no girlfriends around. Keep all the women away. Y'all need to be doing manly things. Y'all need to be lifting weights, playing football, practicing. Y'all don't need to be getting into y'all soft side, relationship side. Y'all need to be focused on the task at hand. All right. Um, and then this magazine comes out, bro. The team is 0-4. You got your ass whooped every week of the every game of the year. This or what is it? Was it 1-3 now? When they beat Charlotte? My bad. Oh, y'all beat Charlotte. Congratulations. But every Power Four team y'all played, y'all got your ass whooped. Okay, and people was picking UCF to be last in the Big 12, mind you, preseason. So this is the team that whooped y'all behind with a first year coach. Same situation, by the way. Same situation. So there's no excuse. They got a first year coach too, with transfers all over the place playing transfer quarterback. They had to switch their quarterback during the game week one because the first guy they thought they was going to start end up not being good. So UCF is in the same situation as you, and they whooped y'all behind. Okay, so there's really no excuse in this game. Like yeah, TCU is a machine that's been running for a long time. They was gonna whoop y'all behind, but UCF, this is the same situation. Like I said, new coach, new team, all over the place, new players everywhere, and they whooped y'all behind. And then you got magazine covers coming out. You shouldn't even be doing no interviews. You shouldn't be doing no interviews, no radio shows, no public appearances. I don't care what's going on. You go to work and take your ass home and keep your girlfriend at home too. Should be your damn granddaughter. Yo, and I feel like last time we talked about this, she too young for us on this podcast. What are we doing? And we not even 30 years old yet, mind you. And it's and you got a 70-year-old man dating this girl. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Anybody in their right mind would not let their family member do that BS. If you got a sister cousin, daughter, and she bringing home a 70-year-old man? Oh hell no! Are you out your damn mind? Are you out your damn mind? Come on now. And then you got this fool doing magazine covers. Like, and it just this whole situation just boggles my mind because this is the guy that his whole NFL career, mind you, he's been coaching our entire lives in the NFL, just in the NFL. And every interview he give one word answers, shows no personality, doesn't talk to the media at all, doesn't do anything. But now all of a sudden you're just a complete distraction every time. And this is what coaches talk about all the time. Eliminate distractions. Like it's one thing if you have a player that's a distraction. They are young people, they're young men, especially in college. They're 18 to 22-year olds. Yeah, you know, you might have a TikTok come out where people is dancing. That's more in line with young people. You're a 70-year-old man. Why are you a distraction? Every like North Carolina has nothing to talk about because they are ass. But your 70-year-old coach who's been doing this for so long is somehow the distraction. It boggles my mind because he would turn around and tell all the players not to be a distraction. He would tell the players to keep their ducks in a row. He would tell the players, you can't get too looped in with women because all this is a distraction. You're in college, you're surrounded by women. There's women all over the place. It's easy for a young male. You gotta think you're a college athlete. So what does that mean? You're somebody of high status, you in tip top shape. It's easy for those kind of people to get women. So the coach would tell them, okay, you need to handle that part of your life accordingly because it will take you down. You're somebody that's famous. You have a bunch of things to worry about that other people don't have to worry about. And even though they might not be famous like a celebrity, but you're famous on campus. Everybody knows who the football players are. So it just boggles my mind seeing an old man do that, where he's been around. He's been famous his adult life. I just don't get it. It just seems like the main thing is not the main thing right now, and that's why they coming out here playing like garbage every week.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy to me. All right, I'll give my clown of the week. My clown of the week. I don't even know the dude's name. I don't know if I can even find it anymore. But my clown of the week goes to whatever Miami fan went and got Tony's name on their license plate. Malachi Tony's last name, Tony, on his own license plate. Guys, not only is that clown behavior, that is just flat out weird behavior. Mind you, this is a kid that just turned 18. Like he's a true freshman in college. He just turned 18 a couple months ago. He was a minor, a fresh adult, and you're like almost like idolizing this kid and no connection to him. He has no idea who you are, and you're getting his last name on your license plate. Like I've seen people get like, their favorite team on their license plate or like Batman or like a silly slogan like sure. But like why are you getting another person's last name? That's almost behavior of a term that I'm not going to use on this show.
Yeah, why
It
would you
starts
put
with a
another
C.
man's name? Why would you put another man's name on anything you own?
Come on now. That's behavior of somebody that yeah. So that's just super strange to me, super weird. Um, you guys just need to stop with that. And I seen a Florida State fan earlier this year. They got a tattoo um, when they beat Alabama. He got a week one like a tattoo basically like of like the score and the helmets and that Florida State beat Alabama week one. Like obviously that's still clown behavior because like why are you getting a tattoo of a regular season week one game? But like I'd rather that. I'd rather you permanently marking your body forever with two logos and a silly score over a game that didn't matter over putting another man's last name on your car that you don't know, that's not family. Like he ain't saved your life. That's not your big homie. That's
You know,
not like
Miami fans are not used to winning. They're not used to being very good. So we might have to cut up some slack. You know, they're not used to getting, you know, a lot of good players and playing well and things like that. You know, they're used to falling flat on their face. So maybe that's why I did that.
that's a yikes. He better not put that. He better not put that on his car. I know it is going on his car though, but
Oh my
that is,
god,
yeah, that is nasty work.
that's just
Um,
nasty, bro.
Clown behavior. Yeah, if I find it, I'll send it in the group chat. I meant to send it earlier, but I just was so disgusted that I had to remove myself from the situation as soon as possible. Um, but yep, I think we can close out the show here unless there's anything else that we forgot to talk about or that you want to bring up or
I think we hit everything, man.
yeah, sounds good to me then. Obviously, we appreciate everybody who has been rocking with us, who has been sticking with us so far through this season. Um, our third year, closing in on 100 episodes, so that's super dope. Yeah, make sure to tell a friend to tell a friend, share the show to people who you think will like it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow us on Instagram at the Pigskin Live. Yeah, it's been super fun to do this for the past 3 seasons. And big Saturday ahead of us. So we'll be back here next week with a pretty sure a long ass episode because there's a lot of good games to talk about and to lock into. So will definitely be a full weekend of football for us over here at the Pigskin Live. Um, as for that, everybody enjoy your weekends, enjoy the football, and we'll see you when we see you. Peace.